Sejam muito bem-vindos a mais um episódio do Pastelaria Podcast, o podcast especial da Spektra. E hoje, estou aqui no meu segundo podcast como host.
Uau!
Incrível, né?
Aham.
Representando o Natan e aqui do meu lado não está representando a Maria.
Não, se você tá representando o Natan, tá representando a Maria sim.
Está representando a Maria aqui.
Sim.
Minha colega Iris, que foi a minha primeira chefe direta.
Que você achou que eu era muito malvada.
Achei que você era
séria.
Eu tinha medo da Iris.
Mas agora você descobriu que não é nada assim.
Não,
O contrário.
a gente super...
Se dá bem?
Isso. E hoje nós estamos aqui novamente na Lhasa, mais um episódio especial do Pastelaria na Lhasa.
Aham.
E nós estamos aqui com 2 estrelas da Lhasa para apresentar um assunto muito interessante. Do que a gente vai falar hoje, Iris?
Hoje a gente vai falar de um assunto muito atual, complexo e que eu vejo muita aplicabilidade, principalmente no futuro. Eu acho que a gente não sabe muito bem do assunto, a gente ainda não aplica muito, mas a gente vê uma grande potência da aplicação,
Sim.
que a gente vai falar sobre Aops. E Aops é a sigla para Adverse Outcome Pathway, que a gente, traduzindo isso, seria realmente entender toda a cascata de reação que acontece desde a interação de uma molécula que a gente está considerando que seja tóxica. Claro que a gente também pode considerar isso na questão de efeito biológico para efeito terapêutico, mas aqui a nossa maior preocupação é para toxicidade.
Sim.
Então, desde a interação dessa molécula que é potencialmente tóxica com o seu alvo e toda a cascata de reação que acontece até que o efeito biológico seja identificado. Eu acho que eu não consigo falar muito.
Não.
Porque agora
Acho
a gente
que
vai entender.
dar uma boa pincelada.
Sim.
A gente vai
Falar com 2
com
especialistas.
nossos
Aham.
mais que especiais convidados. Mas antes disso, eu queria deixar aqui a deixa para os nossos queridos patrocinadores que estão sempre ao nosso lado, apoiando o nosso podcast. E já deixo aqui o lembrete para vocês curtirem o vídeo, compartilha, manda pro pai, pra mãe, pro cachorro. Divulga no Instagram, divulga no Facebook, qualquer rede social que você prefira. E vamos agora para os nossos patrocinadores.
Então, os recadinhos aqui, Leandro me fez gravar para vocês. Antes de vocês continuarem assistindo o episódio, agradecer nossos patrocinadores, Axios, para quem precisa de padrão, para quem trabalha com padrão, desenvolvimento analítico, quem tiver interesse em adquirir Axios, adquirir padrões analíticos de extrema qualidade, ótimo prazo, bom preço, acesse o link, ou pede lá para o Sérgio um descontão que, de acordo com o Leandro, ele também dá.
Pede 50% de desconto.
50 não significa que ele vai dar, mas pode pedir. Também temos que agradecer muito a YMC, nossos parceiros de colunas. Então, se vocês trabalham com desenvolvimento analítico, desenvolvimento de método, vocês que estão na validação, vocês que estão ali na bancada no controle da qualidade, não se esqueçam, YMC, colunas de alta qualidade para você, muita reprodutibilidade e sensibilidade também. Então, por favor, só acessar o link aqui se vocês tiverem interesse. E por último, não se esqueçam, acessem o link do nosso site.
Você esqueceu aí, Sérgio. Tá vendo, Sérgio? Ele esqueceu da...
Não esqueci, se você for na Axios, você também vai ver a Sample System. Se você acessar o link da Axios, se você trabalha com amostradores, a Axios também representa a Sample System e você pode obter mais informações ou adquirir amostradores para o seu dia a dia, para o trabalho de vocês com a Axios. Então também é só falar com o Sérgio, não esquece de falar com o Sérgio sobre isso também. E por fim, então, retomando aqui, não deixe de se inscrever no canal, dá o seu like, dá o seu joinha pra gente, curtir, deixar o seu comentário, ativa o sininho, que é muito importante para você saber quando a gente vai postar outras coisas. Esse ano, agora em 2026, vai ter muita coisa bacana, a gente vai publicar bastante coisa para vocês. Segue as nossas redes sociais também, o Instagram, quem for de Instagram, ou o LinkedIn, só procura lá Spektra, Soluções Científicas, e o nosso site, que tem um blog, inclusive, se você quiser saber um pouco mais do que a Spektra faz, dos nossos serviços, do nosso dia a dia, é só acessar lá, que dentro do site tem o blog também, que a gente conta tudo que a gente está fazendo para vocês lá, e tem matérias mensais, quinzenais, sobre os assuntos que a gente traz aqui no podcast e outros que a gente não traz, mas que a gente vive no dia a dia da empresa. Beleza? Mais uma vez, obrigado e volta lá e continua assistindo o episódio.
Volta não, fala que passa pra legenda, que é em inglês aqui, ó.
Ah, tem isso também, né? O Leandro falou. Não se esqueçam, como a gente tá com os episódios em inglês, se vocês precisarem, é só ativar o Closed Caption, que o Leandro já falou para vocês. Além do Closed Caption, dá para vocês colocarem em outra língua também.
Fazer a dublagem.
Fazer a dublagem por inteligência artificial do YouTube. Então, não tem motivo mais para vocês dizerem pra gente que vocês não conseguem acompanhar os nossos episódios. Então, ou Closed Caption aqui, ou ativa a dublagem também.
Eu expliquei isso no episódio do quiz, o episódio 101.
Perfeito. Mas é muito fácil, gente. Tá aqui em cima, é só vocês encontrarem o botãozinho do Closed Caption aqui embaixo, que fica nas configurações aqui, e trocar, ou colocar a legenda, ou trocar o áudio, tá bom? Então, mais uma vez, agora dá o play e confere o episódio que a gente lançou agora sobre métodos alternativos.
Bom, pessoal, agora a gente vai fazer o podcast em inglês. Nossos convidados têm inglês como uma língua de origem. E para você que não está acostumado a ouvir inglês ou tem uma certa dificuldade e você está assistindo pelo YouTube, lembre que você pode ativar a legenda aqui na barrinha do YouTube para você acompanhar melhor o episódio. E se prepara. Let's change to English now. So, we are here with our two guests, our two stars of today. Are you feeling prepared?
We'll see.
Yeah. So we're here with Susanne and Alan, and they're both scientists of Lhasa, and we will make you a specific question that all of our guests has to answer, and I will leave this to Iris to ask.
Okay, so for
Because she's again replacing Maria, who does this question to our guests.
like the big opportunity
Yes.
to ask you that.
The stage is yours.
So I'll ask you, Susanne, first because we are women, so ladies first. Susanne, I'd like to know, who are you at the pastel queue?
So at the pastel queue, I only learned what this was the other day. I'm actually not in the pastel queue. I'm in the bar across the street, the Pepperina. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to gluten, so I can't eat pastel.
Do you have
I
gluten-free
have
pastel?
never seen pastel gluten free.
Yeah.
I have never.
Yes.
New market.
Yes,
Yeah.
the market. Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, maybe
Take notes.
you should come to Brazil when we open a tent of pastel gluten free. Yes.
Invite me, I'm there. With a caipirinha as well.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. This one I can make it.
So I'm Susanne. I've been working at Lhasa Limited I've just marked 17 years at Lhasa Limited. So my story is I was born in a place called Salford, which is a city adjacent to Manchester. And I kind of grew up there doing high school and had an interest in chemistry. And then when I had the opportunity to get out of there, I did. So I came to university in Leeds and I've never looked back. So I came from, I don't know if you know about the Lancashire-Yorkshire rivalry.
I heard this.
Yeah.
I heard the name of the city, Lancashire. Yeah.
Lancashire is like
Lancashire.
county.
Yeah.
And Yorkshire's the county.
Okay.
Here have a bit of a rivalry, west and east. We got the hills in between and all that. So it was seen as a bit of I've gone across the hills and that, but I love Yorkshire. It's made effort ever since. So I did my undergrad in chemistry at Leeds University, which I don't know if you've seen the university up the road.
No, we
haven't had the chance
to York, but
Yeah.
as the university is like a little far from the center,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to go there. But I
Yeah.
would have loved to see it.
But yeah, Leeds University is just the other side of town. That's where Lhasa was based as well to start off with. So I knew of Lhasa when I was doing my undergrad, and then I did my postgrad and my PhD in chemical biology at Leeds. And then when I finished up in the lab, I just started working at Lhasa, which was literally across the street, the building. So that was 17 years ago. I was employee number 50. And I've been here ever since. So I've been working, I've used my chemistry to start off with, like working with Derek. So structure activity relationships, and I've done various different projects. But now my main focus is adverse outcome pathways for carcinogenicity.
Carcinogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you work at Castserie?
Yes, so we work
Okay.
at Capsis, yeah.
And you are a chemist, right?
I was.
Uh,
I don't think I could call myself chemist anymore. Those skills have been dormant for quite a while. But I've learned quite a lot on the way, so I consider myself more as a toxicology.
yeah.
Now I've learned that over the last 17 years and going into more the biology of it all as well, which adverse
Mhm.
outcome pathways
Yeah.
kind of
Yes.
lends itself to.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
So just like for people know that you came from a different area, they're not different, but they are like related somehow.
Yeah.
What did you do during your PhD? What was like the main thing?
Okay, so I did a bit of mixture of chemistry and mixture of biology. So, my study was on this unique sugar, which is found in the cell wall of Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
worked with Nicholas.
Yeah,
Yes, in my PhD, drug discovery.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
right. So
uh-huh.
on the life of Arabinamana, there's this unique
Uh-huh.
sugar called MTX. So
Yes,
I was
yes.
trying to figure out how to synthesize it and how it connected to Lipoarabinamana, lamb, and then looking at, does this provide like a unique advantage to the bacteria to make it resistant? So experimenting with different enzymes like that. So I was like expressing enzymes and trying to do that because it gets oxidized and then it gets reduced, and we're thinking, is there some oxidative stress mechanism which is helping it survive
Yes, yeah.
in that area? Then did some modelling about how that molecule would fit into the pocket of the enzyme. And the awkward thing is, because with carbohydrate chemistry, it's usually 6-membered rings and it's like bow conformation. This is a 5-membered ring. So it flips into all sorts of different conformations. So it's trying to figure out all of that using NMR, using computer modeling, and that. And
No, that's crazy. That's it's mostly what I do.
So later you should talk. So you should talk
different-
about it.
different
Another
focus.
episode.
Yes.
definitely.
And for Alan, I study a little bit of you, like a little bit, and I know that you are also a biology chemist. A part of your knowledge also in chemist.
Yeah.
So for you, who are you at the Pastel Q?
Basically in a copy almost everything Suzanne said. So I don't eat gluten either. So I'll be in the bar with Suzanne. I'll come across when the gluten-free ones become available. I was born in Wales. Moved all around the country. When I went to university, I went to Leeds, did an undergrad in chemistry, then a master's in process chemistry and a PhD in, chemical biology. And worked on similar things. So my specific degree was looking at, what do they call it? Directed evolution. So chemically altering the active site of some aldolase enzymes to see if we could change the behavior of them. Wasn't particularly successful, but
as all.
yeah, exactly. Got through it. And then straight after that, I came to Lhasa. So when I joined was 10 years ago, and we were at this site. And,
So you've had similar journey, but quite a few years apart.
Right. 8 years difference. Yeah. And so sort of more chemistry background, applied some of that to working on Derek when I started here, and then after a couple of years moved towards developing AOPs for the DART endpoints, so developmental and reproductive toxicity. Sort of more of learning biology and developing pathways.
Yeah. And how did you both got here to Lhasa? Like,
And
you saw like a announce something like that. You told us that you already knew them in New York. But how was like the process to getting in here?
So I basically saw the job ad, and then I was like in the middle of my PhD. I just got married. I saw the job ad in New Scientist, which is like a science magazine here. And my husband kind of persuaded me to apply because I was like, I wasn't sure and all that, and applied, and I got the job, and it was just that. So I just had massive finishing up writing, doing my lab work at least, and I was trying to write up my thesis. And I was doing my first year at Lhasa, which is quite convenient because my PhD supervisor was across the road.
Okay. And so you both entered here and started working with Derek. Is it correct?
Yeah, a few rotations, and that's what I at the time working.
And yesterday I talked to Alex about it, and he gave us a brief introduction of how like the idea of working with AOP began, because he told us that we like, actually I don't know if you also helped developing all the alerts that Derek has on it, and then you like realize that something else, like you got like so many things to work with and to develop a new idea. And I want you to talk about a little bit more about it. How was like the transition between Derek to working with AOPs and the development of Captis? And yeah, I'll start it from now and then we'll go forward.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I initially came here and worked on Derek. So I was working on Derek alerts for carcinogenicity, trying to match them with genotoxicity alerts as well, because there's that link, the inextricable link between genotoxicity and carcinogenicity, in that if something is genotoxic, it's likely to be a carcinogen, but not always the other way around. So I was trying to figure out that, and through that you get to learn a bit about non-genotoxic mechanisms. So for genotoxicity, damage to DNA, get misrepair in the cycle, and then you get cell proliferation. Whereas the other mechanisms, it's about more like what your compound hits a target and then what happens. And we're kind of describing all those pathways in our alerts, but you always had the structural elements of it, and then the apical endpoint. So it's like,
what is the middle of it?
Yeah, what is the middle of it? So we wrote about it, but we didn't actually use that knowledge as such in the models. So I think the idea came about is like, how can you use that information? Because we had a wealth of information there, so it's kind of extracting all of that out and then trying to rearrange it into these pathways. So with the pathways, I don't know if you know what adverse outcome pathway is, but it's basically a way to describe it. Something that happens when you have a molecular initiating event. So if you've got a drug or something, it'll hit a target, it'll have an effect. And then what the adverse outcome pathways measures is like the unintended effects. So it's like what happens next after that. And it's kind of going along this pathway with all these different checkpoints along there, which are measurable. So you can develop assays to measure these as well. But it's how you get from this point to that point, but in a more piecemeal way.
Do you think that there's like all this pathway of developing some carcinogenicity is like easier to understand it when we're talking about a genotoxic mechanism? Is it easier to understand like all these pathways when are genotoxic, other than when we're thinking about some carcinogenic event besides being a genotoxic?
Yeah. So genotoxic pathways, it all tends to go along the same pathway. So there might be different events. So it might be intercalation of a molecule. It might be direct reaction of a molecule. It might be an indirect reaction which causes oxidative stress. But in the end, ultimately, it will cause DNA damage. So it gets to a point where they all converge, and then the progression happens on the same sort of pathway. So you kind of end up with a network of pathways. So you end up with one adverse outcome, but you might have a lot of different molecular initiating events. It's about measuring those. With non-genotoxic carcinogens, again, at the end, you like get your cell proliferation, hyperplasia, and all that, and that's the same. But I think it's a lot more varied about how you can get there, depending on what target you hit and that. And this can depend on different things. So you talk about genotoxicity, but you can get carcinogenicity through immune suppression, get it through hormonal perturbation. So it's a bit of a wider area, in my opinion.
And I imagine how difficult or how crazy it was like for you to, when you came from the PhD, you were always like in the bench in the lab working, and then you come to like a totally different environment where you need to like work with theoretical chemistry and biology. And how was this for you? Like, how was this challenge? What did you use in your previous experience in the lab that you could use to transition to this point of theoretical chemistry and biology?
I mean, I much preferred it. So in the lab, everything I touched almost went wrong every time. You come here, and I guess you can use your experience in terms of interpretation of results and data and apply that to other people's research. So the data's already there. You don't need to worry about it. That's done for you. And then you just have fun interpreting it, pulling out the important bits,
Yeah.
and then using that to,
Uh-huh.
I guess, enhance our predictive models.
With me, I'm the same. I much prefer theoretical work. Mistakes are a lot less expensive theoretically than they are. Take a lot longer.
Yeah,
It's fair. So, like one of my final experiments went completely wrong, and that was like £1,000 of enzyme down the drain. But I had done a test run, so
Yes,
it's completely
yes.
but
The plating. Oh my god.
yeah,
It already hurts.
yeah. But then but it's like I said, the skills we learned from our PhD, I think, were very applicable here from the soft skill side. I think also the writing skills and that, because with a lot more theoretical, there's a lot more writing, but the things we did during our thesis and the writing up we had to do,
Yes.
that as well was very applicable
Uh-huh.
as well. So it's like there's lots of transferable skills. I don't miss the lab.
I know.
don't miss had to go to the hospital.
Like the chemicals as well, obviously, is pattern recognition, and you can apply your knowledge of chemistry and how these things should react to the predictions we make
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
without having to worry about.
I think I mean, you are both medchem, like me, if I may say like that. And I think that this was actually a great match. Like looking from where are you working today, regarding like the understanding the interaction between the micromolecule and the macromolecule, and how this disrupts toxicological pathway. And this is something that we do during drug discovery.
Yeah.
We try to understand our target, how the molecule interacts with this specific target. And this is a curiosity of mine. Do you need to know specifically the electronic interactions of the compound that you are analyzing to make like a SAR, KQ SAR? Or is not that much deep? You can just like, okay, this is a binding mode, it works like this, and then this reps help this.
So for adverse outcome pathways, the idea is they're chemical agnostic, meaning that it doesn't the molecular initiation doesn't depend on like a chemical structure or anything. Those are modes of action if they depend on chemical reaction, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think what we at least with us with the DART, so we've spent the past 5 years developing a network of DART adverse outcome pathways. So looking at each target we're interested in, and then going to the literature to see, okay, what's the next step that leads to the next step to the adverse outcome. We document that so that we can then say, okay, what assays measure each of these key events. We identify the assays and then link them. So the first interaction, the interaction with a target, we say, well, there's a binding assay or an inhibition or whatever assay for that. We link it. We then get access to a broad range of data available to us, and we could just use that data as is to develop QSAR models or to make our predictions. We don't need to, I guess, worry about
we don't need to go that low level.
Definitely, yes,
and all that.
Because we know that like this interaction is going to disrupt something.
Yeah.
So I think that's like
it's more the result, the outcome than the interaction itself.
Yes.
And I wanted to know because correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this sense of adverse outcome pathways started with sensitization. I don't know quite well.
That's like the YMC, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, as my knowledge during university, it's easier to understand all the pathways when like in an immunological way. It's easier to understand which like cell is going to connect with the other one, and each event is going to happen after that. But when we are saying about carcinogenicity and DART results, for me it's harder to understand like all of the events that is going to happen before the toxicological event. And my question for you two is how difficult is to find that information, to fill all these gaps between the initiative event to the outcome, and which tools we can use in order to understand what is like in the middle of it.
I think that's the issue we're starting to tackle now, I'd say, with our research. So it's like our original issue was we were developing these structural alerts for DART, trying to predict developmental toxicity. We found that not enough data was available to make comprehensive alerts. So that's why we started building the AOPs, because we knew MIE data was much more prevalent and more readily available. So at the moment, essentially, we have a lot of MIE data, the available in vivo data, and not much in between. So we've made a model where we can make predictions as to whether a compound's going to be a developmental toxicant or not based on MIE data. And we don't really account for what happens in between yet.
Yeah.
So we have a good sensitivity. Our specificity we need to improve. And I think there are various different ways we can investigate to do that. And I suppose like within the community, they look into things like in vitro to in vivo extrapolation. So saying potency at this point, how does that translate to potency at this outcome end? We're looking into a few things ourselves this year. Hopefully we'll be able to present it at conferences and so on. But yeah, that is a challenge.
I believe so.
Yeah, in the carc domain, I think it's a little bit different, and this is because we've got regulations which have like now come into force, which allow you to do weighted evidence assessments in lieu of doing an animal study for carcinogenicity. So the idea is that in a drug development process, you're going to do loads of different assays to look at all those different endpoints anyway. So why not bring all that data together to see if you can predict actually what would be the outcome in your rat or in your mouse, and actually if it's going to be obviously positive or obviously negative, do you actually need to run that or so this is the way I'm coming from it. So I'm using the adverse outcome pathways and linking all the different pieces of assay data to each of the key events, and depending on how far an outcome might be for carcinogenicity or what we think an outcome might be for carcinogenicity in a rat. So that's taking like gene tox data, so your Ames test, your in vitro chromabs tests and all those, but then all your hormonal tests still have like your repeat dose study animal tests, and that which is okay, it's not quite in vitro only yet or in silico only yet, but it's like it's best been running two year animal studies, so using less animals and that, and just trying to bring up that all together. And AOPs are like a great framework to organise all that, because you can know what your assay measures. So it's like for gene toxicity, you're looking at DNA mutations, so you can attach your assays to those key events. And then you can look early in the pathways and see, actually, well, I've got this alert which says it's for this mechanism, so in silico alert. So actually, I know this gene toxicity is caused by this mechanism. So you get a lot more information, and using that information, you can be confident to say, well, I think it's going to be cause carcinogenicity because it's gene toxic by this mechanism, which you might not necessarily get in more traditional assays. So I think it's about bringing all that data together and organize it and rationalize it to get to that process.
So an NLP is like more a qualitative tool other than predicting the amount or the potency of that.
You see, that's the challenge. So what we started with, and with this new regulation for ICHS1 regulation where you can do weight of evidence assessment, all it asks is, do I need to run a rat carc study? And with your rat carc study, you do it to a dose which can be 60 to 70 times the exposure. And essentially when you're doing all your other assays in between as part of the process for drug development, you'll be testing it to the extreme, won't you? So that's very much a hazard qualification. For AOPs to be quantitative, it's more to measure risk. So what's the exposure, and does it actually go on to the next key event? You need to know a bit more about the dynamics of it, so how it metabolizes, how it the ADME in the body, and actually is this exposure enough to trigger this next pathway happening? Because sometimes it just might be you end up with homeostasis, it triggers it, but the body does enough to what's the word? Compensate, yes, thank you.
And we know that a lot from genotoxic carcinogenic. Because we know that we do have a threshold dose, so maybe all the genotoxic event is not going to trigger carcinogenicity.
Exactly.
So do you think that maybe we could like if I think that a carcinogenic event will happen, but I know exactly how is like the pathway of it. Maybe I can do like a shorter study to understand if that is happening in vivo. So it's not necessary to conduct. Maybe I am like requested to do an in vivo study, but not one like during 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, this is. And how about for DART results? Is it kind of similar of it?
I think I suppose probably we're maybe slightly behind in terms of progress towards non-animal methods. I think with the endpoint, obviously I think the current system we have with DART testing is basically you're required to test in a rodent and non-rodent species. It's quite animal intensive, but it's a system that works. So I think that community is sort of happy to go with that. In terms of moving the community away from doing these 2 species testing, it's going to require a lot of confidence in the alternative methods and sort of a lot of support along the way. So probably a long-term goal, which is understandable because you don't want to make a mistake for that endpoint. So I suppose what I'm hoping to look into now is whether we can potentially just demonstrate that we could potentially use our AOP framework to limit the need for the 2 species assessment, see if we can investigate whether we can safely use our predictive method. I guess at the moment we have a hazard screen in combination with a single species to support a safety assessment. So I guess it's more an experiment we're doing at the moment. But maybe I could see that could be a long-term way forward.
And you do you believe if I know exactly the AOP for that kind of result, or like for DART result, if I know exactly which one is going to be, can I choose for like the best species to conduct this study?
I think that could be possible, because obviously there will be. Yeah, I think. I guess you run these 2 species and then you perform your risk assessment based on the most sensitive species, as I understand it. I think biology is going to dictate the sensitivity of the species. So then if we know the target that's hit, potentially we can draw out information to say, your compound hits this target, it's going to, and we have evidence to show that this species is more sensitive than the other and sort of work that way. I guess the challenge might be with there'll be plenty of challenges, but with small compounds, you often find that they might hit, the primary pharmacology and off targets. So we need to work out how to understand all of that and see if we can.
So would you say that nowadays the main goal is like of AOPs regarding QSR studies are like more to compile informations, to generate a database, something that researchers can work on, to use less and less in vivo studies? So I don't know, maybe having a mixture of in vitro studies, in silico studies, and also the predictions that are being generated. This is like the main goal right now.
Yeah, I think it's trying to make sure how it all fits together to come to a conclusion, which, you don't need to run the animal study. You generate lost data anyway, so what's the point? If you know what your answer is going to be, why?
Yes.
The only other thing in that is there's the additional step we have to do is we try to make it more human relevant. So with the adverse outcome pathways, some of these mechanisms that occur might only happen in rats, might only happen in mice. So you're talking about testing most sensitive species, but then it's always still relating that to the human health outcome. So with adverse outcome pathways, we've annotated what species they're relevant in and the likelihood they will happen in those species. So it could be you have rat specific mechanisms, or you have mechanisms which more common in rats than they are in humans, and then you can mitigate based on kind of the levels of what they may occur.
Yes.
As well. So you've got to take that into consideration as well. I think with the rat models, it's all good to cause see tumours, but then actually how does that apply to humans in the end?
I think frameworks we've developed, I think, are we developed a DART network, a CARC network. We have published these, so
So our papers.
But it's I see it as it's the framework upon which any sort of relevant data or information can be added. I see it as a tool that we can use now for different purposes depending on the endpoint, but sort of it's I guess also the future direction in which you can add any assay, combine the data in whichever way makes sense for whatever you're primarily looking at, and then sort of drive forward future safety risk assessments.
Yeah. And do you think that during like trying to assess the all the pathway to the final result, the final outcome, how hard is to use in vitro tests to try to predict what will happen or what is happening? I mean, I'm not sure. You kind of need to be like creative regarding this test so you can mimic what's happening in the body. So is this like a challenge?
I think it's a challenge. I think there's a lot of research going into this. The area is called New Approach Methodologies and looking at different ways, and they tend to be looking at in vitro methods. But it's about developing the right tissue cultures and that, which obviously come from in vivo to start off with, but replicating those, what's the right mechanisms that are happening, because in different tissues, different things have different metabolism and that. So you can't directly compare new intro tests for liver to measure one key event to like doing it in lymph tissues or something like that. So it's got to be careful considerations of what you're testing and when and where. And I think this is a challenge at the moment, but I think there's a lot of opportunities there as well. So there's a lot of people out there like developing different tissues. It's like some might do like human cells, some do it on modified rodent species, some doing it on embryonic mouse species. Some do it in like starting to develop 3D models and like organ on a chip and all that. There's loads of possibilities, and it's just about trying to find the right ones and then getting them accepted in industry, accepted by regulators, so they can act as that substitute. And I think that one big challenge is getting regulatory acceptance as well, because people will use them if they're not going to be accepted by the regulators, and sometimes the regulators can be quite conservative. So with the new guidances that I work with, our harmonised guidelines, so ICH guidelines, and it's like all the regulators sign up to those, but it takes years to try and get that agreement, and that is sometimes some will be more conservative than others. And there was a recent paper when they did all these studies, and like they couldn't get agreement between the regulators of whether an animal study was needed or not. So I think there's a lot of challenges there to try and get everyone on the same page. But I think there's a lot of opportunities there to provide tools so that we can start giving a best practice essentially, so everyone follows the same sort of model, but with the flexibility that an AOP framework can have. They can test all sorts of different things, develop their own assays to test specific things, and then see what happens and get regulatory approval.
Yes.
But do you think that with a result for an NOP, we can assure that this event will not be triggered by this molecule, or we also like need to understand it better with like an in vitro test?
Well, yeah, I think one part of it is like with these alternative assays, I don't think one assay is going to fully replace an animal model. There's always going to be limitations to it, and it's understanding those limitations and when or when not the assay is applicable or the result can be trusted. So I think probably that's part of the complexities. So yeah, if you get a negative prediction for a key event, was the assay suitable? Was the compound within the suitable for that assay, and so on. So I think if we understand that, we'd have a better idea of when and when not to trust the result.
Yeah, I think the use of like lead across as well will come more and more into this as well. So there is allows some read across at the moment. So if you work in the same drug family, then if they're hitting the same target, then actually what do these compounds do, and can you read across from that to say, well, actually this might cause a carcinogenic effect, this will cause carcinogenic that. But it's like diving deeper into that as well. So there's another initiative, it's called Recap Initiative, and this is kind of a way of evidence assessment and chemicals. And this is a big group got together, and they've done it, and they've employed a lot more read across, so not just at the carcinogenicity level, but for like repeat dose studies and that as well, looking at the doses. And they kind of answered the question they're trying to answer the question rather than what's the hazard, is this dose safe to use? So using read across there. So I think there's a lot of opportunities, and a lot of different industries that are going that way now as well. So I think if we can combine all that and get agreement, then I think we'll come to a place where just don't need to run.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if you can share with us, in your perspective, what is the concern of the regulatory agencies regarding this conversation? I need this to be more robust. I need this to be like, what do they ask to you?
I think it's about validation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like showing that this technique works. So I think they want to see, it's like, sometimes they want to see through doing. So in the evaluation study that was done when this guidance was first started, they actually did the CARG studies and these weight of evidence evaluations at the same time to show that actually this weight of evidence evaluation would have predicted this, and it did the majority of the time. So I think, as with any model, it's never perfect, but I think if you can show side by side, so I think there's been a lot of work with industry to try and like get both those results to convince the regulators and that. And it's about confidence as well. So confidence in each of the assays, how well described it is, if it's run the same in each lab, and it's just getting validation in all sorts of areas to try and get together.
Yeah. And but do you think that they are trying to cooperate in a certain way, or they are a little bit more rigid?
I think they are starting to be more cooperative. So at the moment, I know there is a working group which, from this guideline, the specific guideline I work with, they're trying to put together the best practice. So it's all regulators coming together, say, actually, what's the best way of doing this? How's best document this? And all of that. But we want to try and help.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like we've got this amazing process. We can show it works. We've published examples of how it can work, and it's on previously known compounds. It's just, and then it's trying to get our members to try and do that as well. So with their new compounds, say, well, this is actually what would happen. This is what it looks like in cactus, and then this is what the CARC results would have been. Actually, we don't need to run this result. Let's have this discussion. So. And that, so it's as always, it's a long process.
Yes.
But we'll get there.
And do you believe that it's going to take a long time so we can reach like the like not the perfect word still, because I know that the perfect is also always like
we're trying to get there,
way ahead of us. But do you believe that it's going to take how much time so these approaches can like be more reliable in the way, like, not, I know they are reliable, but for the regulatory agencies to understand, like, to be comfortable and saying that, okay, I can trust this data and you don't need to actually run any animal testing anymore regarding this specific compound and this specific toxicity outcome?
For that, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think because the risks are too high. Moving away from animal models, I think the aim should be to move towards regulatory approval of a single species model, a single species assessment rather than a 2-species assessment. And I guess it's just a case of demonstrating that there's a safe way of doing that and then gaining confidence. I mean, I don't know. The number I've heard is it can take 10 years to change a regulatory guideline, but down to that.
I think it's just massive, just being advocates for this way forward. And I mean, everyone says we want to move away from animal testing. The EPA had this mandates, like by 2050 there's no animal testing anymore for any chemicals. And it's just getting those people to say, well, actually, this is our goal and this is how we're going to get it. And it's just advocating all these new alternative methodologies, to get advocates to different local agencies, different governments, etc., to get those. And it's going to require a lot of talking, a lot of science, a lot of persuasion.
Yes.
But the way I see it is you just do it by doing, and actually showing in real life examples how it can work and that it will work.
Yeah. I suppose within our control, we just need to prove that our methods work, and then share those methods, and beyond that, bigger out of control.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people trying to collaborate with this with this methodology, or it's just like something that it's too new to people actually know what is happening?
I think it's quite new. I mean, AOPs have been advocated as a way to do IATAs, weight of evidence assessments, etc. for quite a while, but no one has actually put something together to do it until now. Us. And it's I think it's just trying to get it out there and just trying to get the right audience to see how it is. And again, it's just about advocating those methods, proving it works.
Yes. I imagine for Reprodutiva. Oh,
Fala, it's
Dart.
a dart.
Yeah.
easier.
I'm really sorry. I imagine that for Dart there is like a higher challenge when you're trying to assess this, because it's hard to mimic this
Yeah,
in vitro.
yeah, because I suppose DART covers basically multiple endpoints.
Oh, so just so sorry. We're talking about Dart, and we didn't explain fully.
So,
sorry. Give us the introduction of what is Dart.
So it's a collection of endpoints, developmental and reproductive toxicity. So it covers basically the whole life cycle, and it relates to, I suppose, I guess the things that can go wrong during pregnancy. So malformations that can occur during pregnancy from insult from a chemical, and then also the fertility. So of both the male and female. So really it covers the whole life cycle. We, I suppose, are focused on just the part in terms of development in the womb. So that's the developmental toxicity side of it. But really, I suppose, in terms of regulations, you're going to be doing I say you cover a 2-species assessment, but that only covers one part of it. You might also want to do neurodevelopmental toxicity assessments, which is another sort of set of studies as well. You have multiple assessments you need to do to prove that your compound's completely safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, we focus on the DART side, so the pathways that can lead to impairment of development of the embryo or fetus. I can't remember the question before that. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's just how hard was it
Exactly.
to mimic a full cycle of development in a in vitro test, for instance.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I guess there's a lot of research out there that we've managed to gather. There are obviously knowledge gaps. So whenever we've developed an AOP, we try to highlight what we don't know within our pathway. So we try to make it explicit as to what we don't quite have yet. And then I suppose that might be why once we've developed this network, we only really have MIE data because the first event and
MIE,
molecular initiating event data. Basically just refers to the interaction with the enzyme or the receptor that triggers the pathway that leads to the impairment if it doesn't. So that's basically a binding assay or activity assay or inhibition. So they're easy to run. You've got lots of data for them, and that's fine. And because of the complexity, I guess that's why we only have the binding data, because that's simple, and the adverse outcome end because that's the in vivo data that we already.
And then what Derek show us.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. There are sort of some NAMs, new approach methodologies, basically just alternative assays that have been developed. So the zebrafish is used quite commonly, and you have I guess embryonic stem cell tests and things like Reprodutiva are used quite regularly, but they they try to, instead of mimic specific events along the pathway, they try to mimic the adverse outcome. So long answer is it's complicated. We've documented the mechanisms we know of, and that then allows assays to be placed in as and when we find them, or as and when they're developed.
Do you think that it's kind of an ex vivo approach maybe could be used?
I don't know.
I cannot even imagine how to do it, but just try to. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think zebra test
is
like
a kind of one.
It's a in vitro maybe.
I think it's in vivo, but
like smaller in vivo.
Yeah.
I think it depends on there's rules around.
Depends how young they are.
As to how they're classified, but it's classified as a NAM. But it's the organism in a dish, so that is quite good because and they're transparent as well, I think, so you can see as they develop. To the ex vivo, there are a few ex vivo things in but that's more to do with kinetics. So obviously the placenta can prevent compounds from reaching the embryo and the fetus, and there are examples of ex vivo human placentas that are used to test whether compounds has it or not, or what goes on in the placenta with dental tops as well. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose we want to use the model we have to make predictions and see how we can use that information, I guess hazard predictions, to help move forward single species assessments. So it's maybe a combination. That's why we still think we need a single species involved.
And do you face the same issues when you're trying to talk with the regulatory agencies?
No, I suppose it's because we were slightly further behind. I think many people are receptive to it. We talk to members quite a lot, so mainly pharmaceutical people, and they're interested, keen, and some of them are working with us on the development of the network. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and one question about it. So the members of Lhasa are helping you with regarding of like getting you new data about it, and or are we like mostly working with the data that we already have on like maybe Derek, or like is there new data coming into you and to improve CAPTIs and the knowledge of AOPs?
I think it's a mix, isn't it? I mean, because we're now using all in vitro data. There's such a large resource available to us to work on from the public domain to improve our model. I guess that's mainly what we're drawing on, but we are involved in collaborations that can involve the donation of data to improve the network and test the network.
That's I mean, here in Lhasa, that's how you how can you use like this information to that you receive? You just put like in Derek and Sarah something like this.
I guess
it depends, doesn't it? So sometimes depends on what the assays are and that. So in the past, we've had like loads of like Aops data donated by various different companies. We've used those to improve alerts or refine them to make them more specific. In the AOP space, it's a bit more difficult because we need lots of data for lots of different things for a compound rather than like lots of data from assay for different compounds. So I think there's a bit of a difference. I think you've had a bit of experience with collaboration in AOPs and data. Yeah.
Well, I think obviously. I guess we've predominantly worked with the NIHS, where for maybe 6 years now they've worked with us to identify gaps within our knowledge and develop pathways based on that. I think that's the main collaboration we've worked on and published externally. Should say as well, when you asked about regulations, I had brain out there. It's so the for pharmaceuticals, the guidelines you have to follow are the ICHS-5 guidelines, and actually within that they have stated specific. They sort of like, I guess, postulated specific instances where they believe they would accept an alternative submission, a regulatory submission based on alternative assay data. So they have outlined various instances where I think one is if your compound is if your compound does cause developmental toxicity, you can use a suitable alternative assay and knowledge of the mechanism of toxicity to submit your compound without having to do your traditional animal studies. But I think I'm not sure if we're at the point yet where those alternative assays, those NAMs, have actually been approved by the regulators for use. But they have stated that there are instances where they'd be willing to accept that data. So they are, looking towards the direction of limit.
I think the key is just getting people to work together pre-competitively, post-competitively, just collaborate and just because we're all trying to aim for the same sort of goal, which is the betterment of like human health. And you plan using more alternative assays, which does involve animals. So it's like, why not just collaborate and share data?
Yes.
I know that's difficult in some industries, and that. But the more data and evidence we get, the more we can improve our models, improve our pathways, identify gaps, as you did in your project, and it just makes it. Let's just make a better world, people.
I just think the same.
Just wondering, like, if we're talking about safety issues and general toxicology, why would they not share, like, what is the main issue for them to, because it's not like I am stealing from you your idea. I just want to you to show me how safe it is or how safe it isn't.
It's about trust.
Yes.
In the end, I was going to say lawyers, but lawyers of money, but you can cut that bit out of the But it is, well, people, industry's there to make money in that, and things they develop is proprietary to them, and they can be quite conservative on how much they can share, and
Yes.
that. And one of the things is like Lass's motto: share knowledge, share progress. We all know this, and it's just trying to make sure that we can make people feel comfortable that we can share, and it's not going to like leak into the public domain. Then people aren't going to steal it, which I think is why pre-competitive data is really good. I mean, even if it's partly masked, I think we can still work with, as long as we know like what sort of target you're trying to hit. But again, they sometimes don't want you to know what sort of areas they're working on. I say they.
Yes, that's true.
I say they.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
So it's difficult because of various reasons. I think just needs to get to more Star Trek world. I could just like everyone's shared, everyone's happy, working for the best rather than for.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think exactly the same. I believe that when it comes to human safety, it's not like there's nothing wrong in sharing information. It's not only about human safety, but also like using animals to ensure human safety. For me, is in all our fields of applications back in Brazil, I always see like this concern on the industries about not sharing the data, but yeah, for me it's like, why not? And that's why Lhasa exists as well.
Yes.
And
I think at my time in Lhasa, I think people have got more open and more willing to collaborate, particularly if there's a particular problem. But it's just trying to make that just. Well, it's not just but the betterment of human health; it's betterment for the environment, it's better the climate, etc. So it's betterment of everything. So
in the end, we're just trying to help everyone.
yes,
So we can grow together.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's an amazing job.
yes. I believe this like is a very good philosophy to end our episode about like let's ensure human safety, and let's prevent some unuseful like to prevent using more data that are not necessarily to use from. And yeah, for me it's my dream to have like this, like when the world comes together as one and say no, let's focus in the same goal.
Yeah, I think here at Lhasa we're more than happy to collaborate, aren't we? Just to try and get to that goal. Like I say, Star Trek, but I love Star Trek, so that's my personal philosophy.
Yeah, my parents do. They introduced me Star Trek. I'm more Star Wars.
I'm neither.
Aren't you?
No.
We're that rivals. I have a tattoo of a stormtrooper here. I'll leave it here.
Star Wars is about more trusty feelings. Star Trek is about the logic.
Yeah.
On this line, that's what got me into this
I'm sorry, Spock.
whole
Yes.
thing in the first
I'm
place.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
I think we had a great lecture here.
Oh
A
my
great
god,
talk.
I learned a lot about
Yes,
APIs,
yes.
APIs of AOPs. It's hard. It's really hard to say all these acronyms in English. It's
Yeah.
very hard. But yeah, I believe it was like our first episode to get really deep into this new approach methodology as
Yes.
are.
I hope you guys have see some of your have assessed some of your curiosities about the subject we discussed in this episode. And
Are you going to finish the episode in English?
no,
I
I would just thank them. I just want to thank Alan and Susanne for being here for the
Thanks for
time.
having us. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. You already probably quoted for the next ones that we're going to do when we get back here.
Yeah.
Now you're more
Relaxed,
into.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everything that you shared with us, and I think we finish in a good way to show that science is for everyone,
And for the benefit of everyone.
yes, and we all need to collaborate to get better results. This is science. We just move forward what was left to us, and I hope to see you again.
Yeah, we hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
You're more than welcome back in these anytime.
Oh,
I'm more than open to an invite to Brazil.
yes, Brazil. Yes.
So for sure.
Yes, we will be responsible for making you gluten-free pastéis. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still with caipirinha.
Still with caipirinha.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, always.
Yes.
Always.
That's the touch. And thank you so much. And now I'm going to finish em português. Bom, pessoal, esse foi mais um episódio que a gente trouxe para vocês sobre Aops. Nem sei como que traduz isso agora. Efeitos.
É meio que a cascata de eventos até um certo desfecho toxicológico.
Então a gente mostrou para vocês desde como que a molécula interage com o alvo, quais que são tipo, os caminhos que você segue até você ter o efeito adverso.
Quais são as dificuldades de você entender esses caminhos, que essa acho que é a principal questão do momento, né? Que a gente sabe o começo, sabe o fim, mas o que tá no meio
Isso.
ainda...
Quais são os desafios de
Exato.
você migrar de um estudo em vivo para estudo in vitro ou outras abordagens, como é que a gente fala isso em português?
Alternativas. Alternativas.
Outras alternativas, outros métodos alternativos. Então, nós entrevistamos 2 superstars aqui da Lhasa. Espero que vocês tenham gostado do episódio. E como o Pasteur dizia, o acaso favorece as mentes preparadas e que esse tenha sido o acaso que vocês precisavam.
Até o próximo episódio e tchau!
Agora explica pra eles a frase do pastel.